Dear Stitchers, it's Rachel from Who Likes Stitches. Hope you're all well, and I'm here with another instalment of our trip down memory lane, and this time I'm going for a trip along Wisteria Lane, so I hope you enjoy. So I'm going to be doing a wall that I pass that's usually covered in about May time in wisteria and honeysuckle. So I thought I'd kind of draw in a bit of a wall. I'm going to do this whole thing as a wall, so you know I'll probably do some little stitches to give it a bit of a brick kind of effect around about. I'm not going to worry too much because I'll be probably covering them up with wisteria, so you get the drift. Little block might do that kind of thing. I don't know, that's, but I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint paint my background rather than do it with fabrics. I'm just going to have a look what we've got. I'm just using plain ordinary watercolours, and I'm going to do several different shades because bricks aren't always in that same shade, are they? And I'm going to do it quite washy. If you've not painted on fabric before, it's dead simple. You just literally load your brush up. I'm going to add a bit more of that burnt sienna. Go to a bit of a more of a London brick kind of colour. But I've got a flat brush because I just thought it'd be that will then add as well to that sort of brick shape. I'll probably add a little bit of green as well around. Let me move my palette over a little bit. Get a bit more of that. Your fabric will get quite wet, but it's easy enough to dry. Just hairdryer, overnight drying, pop it on a radiator if you've got the heating on still. I mean, obviously you can put fabric down on this. It's not nothing here set in stone, as we know. I'm trying to sort of dab it on in lines rather than in, just to give it that extra depth of, that's where we're going with it. Just put one up there. I don't know whether you saw me do the Valentine's heart. I did paint my fabric and then covered it over. Oh dear, but you know, these things happen because I get carried away with the stitching, especially if I'm slow stitching and not embroidering. And I will say that I'll show you what I'm gonna, or give you a clue to what I'm gonna do in a minute once I've finished painting, because I want to get this drying. Do a bit more dark browning. when you're getting up to toward the edge, try not to get too close to the edge, because it will seep into the next little page if you're not careful. I think that is probably it. Okay, just going to mix. I'm just going to use a bit of this. No, not that green, because that's underneath. This greeny colour, just to sort of give it a bit of mossy kind of look. Again, you don't have to do this, you can do it with the cloth, it's absolutely fine. And you can use any pencils. I mean, if you've got watercolour pencils, that's they usually work as well, or ink tents. I've not got any ink tents, I'm not that lucky. I keep popping them on my Christmas list, Christmas wish list, hoping that I'll, you know, one day come quite green down here. Just going to tap a bit of this. Most of my colours you can get in a sort of a basic palette, but I buy them in tubes because I go through quite a bit of watercolour. Right, I think we're going to leave it at that. I can't, can I? I've always got to add more. Just feel like it needs a bit of green for the depth of the where we're coming with the branches. Obviously this I'm going to stitch over where I put those little bricks in, but that can be removed by heat. In fact, probably when I do the dry it up with a hairdryer in a bit, it'll disappear. In fact, I'm actually not going to dry it with the hairdryer, I'm going to dry it on the radiator, because I've had to put the heating on, even though it's been beautifully warm. Now it's flipping cold again. Right, so I will let that dry. You saw I used hardly any paint at all, so you can do it with watercolour pencils, ordinary crayon pencils, whatever you've got will do. Don't go out especially buying kids' little £1 palettes from the pound shop. They're great, you know, Dollar Tree or whatever. They're fantastic for painting on fabrics, because you don't need a lot. And if it's not going to be washed, which this isn't, you don't need it to be you know, staying on there. So right, I'm going to leave that on and let it dry, but I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do. I'm going to use some SCHEEPJES wools, just because my purple's gone missing. Just bear with me a minute, I've just got to bend down and collect it. It's gone wandering. There we are. Yeah, so I'm just going to use basic kind of colours for the Wisteria, but what I thought I'd do is I'd add in a little bit of the greens, and I like this olive green for the kind of the twisty branches, but because this has honeysuckle usually in it, I might put a bit of green, a bit of pink and a bit of yellow, just to give a little tiny hint of what I'm sort of, that is there, even though only myself knows that it's there. That's what I'm going to do. But this is going to be quite heavily embroidery based and not got a lot of fabrics on it, so I just thought I'd give you the heads up to get your embroidery threads out and your embroidery needles or whatever it is you use. But I'm going to go away, let that dry, and I'll be back. Okie doke, so my fabric's dry, or dry enough. So first up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brick markings in. I had a little search round and came across this DMC cotton PEARLE variegated, and thought that, even though it probably doesn't go very far in the variegation, I just thought it would be a nice little use of thread. Okay, so I'm just going to do some straight stitching on these ones. I think I might add some bit of satin stitch maybe. I'm not going to go too overboard because inevitably I'll end up covering them up with the flowers and other things, so I'm not going to go too much. I'm just going to do a back stitch. Just let me move this round. I'm trying to keep my pages together with paper clips, and they're a bit cumbersome, if I'm honest. Maybe it's I could have done it on another piece of fabric and then stitched it down, but I think it was sort of 6 of one and half dozen of the other, as we would say. Because I'd still have to stitch down. I'm going to come up there. I'm not making my back stitch too tight, by the way, just because I want to give it a little bit of texture, as always. Stitch down there. And my lines aren't straight, and I'm not too worried about that either. I'm just going to snip that off because it's getting in the way. That's the thing I find with variegated thread. Your variegations aren't short enough. They tend to be really long, and sometimes when you're only stitching a little bit of something, it doesn't change colour often enough. But I have seen, I can't remember the name of the lady, I saw her doing her own with Inktense pens. Inktense, the Inktense blocks, and I did think, oh, that's a nice idea, but again, I haven't got any Inktense, and I'm not sure. Sometimes I think the faff about is not worth the effort. I don't know. You know what I mean, don't you? But I did see that Japan Crafts had been doing a kit with everything in to make your own variegated thread too. So who knows? Might invest. But maybe I won't. It's going to come up there, so oops, stuck myself with the needle. I'm just going to come across here as well. You can do your own thing. You might want to do it a wooden picket fence or a trellis, something like that. It's entirely up to you. You might want to do roses climbing up the wall. You might be doing something completely different on your map. I do always love to see people's sort of take on what I do, or what I sort of start us off doing. It's always interesting. Unfortunately on YouTube you can't share in the comments, but if you go over to our page on Facebook and Moonlight Stitches, you could share there. And there is a group as well, but you'll be able to find that through the page. Well, not a lot seems to go on in there, if I'm honest. Don't know why. But yes, please share them on the page. I know you can put comments, pictures in the comments. Ooh, I'm just going to do another one while it's changed colour. I would say this is like a brick red kind of colour going on. But what I tend to do with variegated is I'll tie my knot in the other end of the colour now and just give myself a little bit of variation. So I'm sort of swapping it end to end. Or if it's a stranded cotton, I think I've mentioned this before, I'll cut it and then split the strands and swap them over. So you're getting a bit more variegation, especially on greens and things like that, where you probably want more than one colour way. Because greens tend to be, if you're only using one colour, they tend to be quite flat looking. I think that's why I like a pearly cotton or the SCHEEPJES, because it's got that twist in it. And it adds texture. Ooh. Oh. I've had to put the heating back on. I think I said it in the earlier video, but gosh, it's really chilly, and yet we've been out in the garden the last couple of days and it's been quite warm, but it has really dropped cold. Got a little loose knot. Come on. So and I can't stitch when I'm cold. My hands don't want to work, and I'm sure you'll be the same. So it's looking quite cool. We're looking forward to going over to Ireland to do a workshop in a couple of weeks' time. I have a friend, Pauline. She has a workshop there in Wexford, and her ladies were quite enamoured with the fox that I do. If you're not sure what that is, there is a little video introducing my slow stitch fox and hair and cockerel and things, and I said that I would come over and do a little workshop for her, just for her ladies. So that's where we're going. I'm going to the WI in early May. Just going to come in and do a bit more on that one. To do another workshop. They're doing the cockerel, and then another lady in the locale, she runs workshops. It's just like coffee mornings and things like that. So I'm going there to do the moon gazing hair. So I'm on a bit of a road trip these next couple of months, which is always exciting. But I do love going out and about with on the road with the travels of my little workshops, because you get to meet lots of new people for a start, and also I always come across nice little craft fairs or second-hand shops, charity shops, thrift stores, that kind of thing, where I can pick up some buttons and all kinds of sewing ephemera. I love it. So this is satin stitch, by the way, if you're not familiar. I suppose I should have done some further up, but didn't. Don't know why. I might have to go back in and do some, because it looks a bit. They look like stitches on. Well, they are stitches, but you know, from a scar, like on Frankenstein. Now I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So I'm going to have to go in and get a bit more thread on. That's fine. What starts off for me as just something quite simple always ends up being a little bit more. Has anybody else got that? Just going to go in and put a bit of satin stitch in that one, just to make it look a bit more less like a Frankenstein's stitch. I think maybe I'll add another bit of oh, what's that there? add another sort of layer of brickage on, layer of bricks on. If you've missed a gap out on satin stitch, by the way, just go back over it. What's happened here? Got a little loose knot. That's the problem with a PEARLE cotton. It's twisted upon itself, and it twists again upon itself as it's coming through through your fabric. So it starts to get a bit knotty. And also, if you give it a little bit of a shine up with the back of your needle, it kind of blends it in together. That's what I think anyway. It does. Especially on a strand of cotton, it blends it really well. Just come across a bit more. I'm probably really overthinking this, but that's what I do. Let's have a look. That looks better, doesn't it? Like a little. I've threaded up my needles and they're all getting in the way. Can we go in another? Right, just do a couple of little bricks there. I know that I'm going to end up sort of covering some of these up, but I'm not going to worry. Oh. You just want a suggestion of brick work, don't you? I know they're not even, and it's not a problem. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, what did I do there? Didn't even come up with the. That's strange. Okay. Get me tweezers. Come up. Hold on. Let me just get my. Because it's very short. Let's get you. Come on. Got it. So I don't know what I was doing there, I'm sure. Right. I'm going to call that done on there. So I was thinking, right, Wisteria, they need a bit of a branch. So getting the old yarn hanks out. I don't know whether I'm going to go brown because this is really cool, because it's got like knots and loops and things in it. So I thought it looks like, you know, the old kind of wisteria thing. I'm going to go to there and then probably go again along there and then another one along there, but I'll stitch this one down first. I'm going to couch this down. I found some dirty olive green vintagey thread. Let's find a needle. There, somebody sounds like they've got a chainsaw out somewhere in the village. Don't think you'll hear it, it's quite far in the distance. But couching, I'm sure you've seen it. You hold your thread. If you've got a thick thread and it won't go through your fabric, just hold it down and then come up one side with a tiny stitch and back down the other side, and it just causes a little loop and holds it down, and it will literally, you can do this with anything, and I do it a lot. I did get some beads out, by the way, when I was thinking I might add a few beads, because I've not added anything like that yet, have I? So I'm just going to try and curve that and do it a bit, give it a bit of a, I don't want it to go around in a corner. I want it to go around a corner, but I want it to curved corner, not a right angle. So probably drop it down a little bit, come over there, and then I'll come back. I can hear Gertrude snoring. She does these sweet little snuffly snores. And of course I've covered up that a little bit, so I'm just going to come back and try not to cover that up. You might want to just stem stitch your branch, stem, whatever, and that's fine. But I love these hanks of yarn, these various different things. I've added them in the shop and they're really popular, and when I take them onto my workshops, because they just lend themselves so well to slow stitching, because they add so much texture. And I've got them in various colours, all kinds of colours, for all kinds of things that I do. Love them. Just going to come and, oh, I've gone through that one, not to worry. Fab. I'm going to tie a knot, fasten off. because I'm going to start at this end again. And yes, of course you can skip across. Please feel free to do that. I seem to have a lot of thread going on here. Is it okay? Yeah. Don't know, probably I've just not pulled it tight enough. Don't matter. Okay. What was it I used? I've got such a big bunch of it. I'm going to put you in there. Tuck you in. I was thinking the other day about somebody was asking me, you know, what would you class as slow stitch? And personally, I mean, and it is only a personal thing, I sort of replied and said, well, anything that you can kind of pick up and be in the moment with, whether it's something that you're doing on a machine, that's entirely your thing, isn't it? It's who am I to tell what's right and wrong? But for me, it's something that you can be really sort of in the moment with. I think that was the whole ethos behind the slow stitching movement in the first instance. And it's right. I mean, it's only because I'm chatting away to you that I'm kind of thinking things through, but I kind of get lost in my own thoughts when I'm stitching, and little things pop into my head and I get another idea for something. I've not snipped that off, have I? No. And then that sort of adds to I have a notebook at the side of me, and I will note it down, because the menopause brain that I have, I'm sure one or two of you can relate. If I don't write it down, it disappears out into the ether and it's gone until about 3 o'clock in the morning, about a fortnight later. I'm going to come up there, I think. So, it's quite funny, quite amusing if you don't, I suppose, but frustrating at the same time. So yeah, I will stitch of an evening. I get all my bits and bobs out. I tend to, when I'm not filming, I tend to do bits that I've bought or I've seen from other stitchers or creators or makers, because I know then that I haven't got to film it, I haven't got to make a sort of any kind of comment about it. It's something simply for me. Again, when I go away on sort of jaunts away, weekends, and go to the Stitch Festival, or off on a trip to Ireland, I'll take something that I'm not thinking, oh, I should have filmed this. because that is no fun. Although, that said, I have work of my own that I don't film. Things that I make for workshops, things that I make just for me. I'm just doing a little bit of a crossover on this because even though I'm going to stitch over it again with some knots, probably bullions or French knots, of course. I do love a French knot and I do love a bullion knot, and if you've followed me along you'll know that. And if you've done one of my workshops and you've watched the videos that I produce to go with them, they feature a lot. I know it looks like I'm making a mess on the back, and I am making a mess on the back, and I don't care. It's not embroidered. It is embroidery, but I'm not doing it for anything. I know that there are embroiderers out there that make the back of their work look as neat as the front of their work, and that is absolutely stunning and beautiful. And yes, when I've been to the Royal School of Needlework, that is what I'm terrible at it, and I don't tend to enjoy it so much because I can't give myself the freedom. Hello Gertrude. So hence slow stitch is more my thing. I've got some beautiful embroideries that I bought when I very first started up stitching again after a long layoff, because I'd lost all my mojo for it, and I bought a little series of embroideries, and they are absolutely stunning, really lovely, but I wouldn't want anybody to look at the back of them. The only thing I will say is I don't carry mass threads across the back because I know that it unravels. So, you know, we all have our little things that we don't enjoy or do enjoy. Cross stitch being another one of my I'm not a fan of. Simply because I'm having to follow that pattern. Gertrude's having a little snack, aren't you, Gertie? Yeah, it's the following of the pattern. I lose interest and it never gets done, so I don't kind of go down that route anymore. I've got a friend who does beautiful cross stitching, I'm sure, and I'm so envious. I do love it. I love to see it done. And the little I've seen like the little pyramid, oh, I've forgotten what you call them, but you sort of attach them to your scissors for your pins and things, and have a little scissor keep and all that, and they look stunning. And I always look at them at the shows and think, oh, I'd like one of those, but I know I won't do it. And my daughter always says to me, no mum, don't buy one, you know it'll still be there and I'll be clearing it out when you've gone. And she's right. Oh, can I eke this bit of thread out? Just one more stitch. I do this to myself, don't I? I started off really well on a different one and thought I'm not going to do that to myself, but I do. Righty ho. It is a bit fluffy, is that? Let me just get rid of Gertrude here as well. I love a good lint roller, and I do highly recommend them. Right, so, oh, my stomach's rumbling. Shall I go with, I think I'm going to do bullion knots. Let me think about, no, I'm not. I'm going in on French knots because I'm going to put beads in and it'll look odd if I don't. So for my wisteria sort of flower, I'm going light through to, I mean, now that is a grey and that's quite dark, but that's the only kind of ones I've got to hand. Let's put a knot in. And I'll show you what I'm going to do, and then I'll probably not show you me doing the whole of the stitches of wisteria knotting because that will be mind-numbingly boring. But I'll come back and put the beads in. So I'm going to do a couple of French knots, two or three wraps. I think start big at the front, at the top, and just do a couple. Again, don't, it's not got to be, it's just a suggestion, guys, don't worry. I'm going 3, and then I'm going to come down and make them smaller. I know they won't be, I want to come up here and do some more. I'll do this branch. I'm going to put some greenery in as well, but I'll just do that with some straight stitches. Yeah, so you might want to sort of vary your size of your knots. And I know they'd be packed in more on a real wisteria, but again, this is only a suggestion of a wisteria. Just unwind the telephone cord. My tummy's rumbling again. I don't know what it is. I've like this, I must need an afternoon treat. A cup of tea. Which I will do when I've done this stitching. Ooh, that's a bit of a big knot. Not to worry. Can you see it's starting to twist on itself? She's gone back up to bed. She didn't even want to come for a cuddle, did she, this time? Normally she's attention seeking, isn't she? But No, she's gone back up. Oh no, she's not. She's sitting here. Hello. Hello. Right. Next colour down. I'm just going to point out about the backs. They will be stitched together, so you won't see in there, by the way. I did see that somebody had asked about that. Do you know, I do try to sort of explain what I'm doing, but I do forget. Oh, I've gone back through the knot on that. Just a minute. Come back up. Where's she gone? Thing with Gertrude is she'll surprise me. Oh, she's behind me. And then I think as she stopped the video, because she'll sit on the keyboard. She's actually sitting on the keyboard washing her face. Oh, Gertrude, you're funny. Maybe actually this isn't dark enough, this purple, but I'm not worried. I'm going to put some beads in. I think I've gone a bit too dark on that one, but when I add some beads, that'll even itself up. So I won't worry. It can always be fixed. Just doing a couple of wraps just to make them smaller. Yeah, wish I'd have searched through for some, but you know, because that purple's too dark, but I'm not undoing it. I might have to go in and I'll pop some beads in and it will be fine. What's happened here? Just untwist. Just make sure I'm still. Yeah. Oh, okay. She's not stopped us. Oh, the times in the past where she's stopped recording and I've carried on and done a whole thing and then had to redo it because Gertrude's pressed stop. Which, as you can imagine, very frustrating. They're looking a little bit like grapes, aren't they? Well, Wisteria does look a bit like grapes. Oh, do you know what? It can be a grapevine. Oh. I think I sort of criticise my process because I see such beautiful stitching out there, and I think you always have that little bit of imposter syndrome, don't you? I think it's a natural thing. Oh, hello, she's here. Come out of the way, Gertz. Hello. Now, I'm going to say that it won't be a minute. Oh, hello. Can we just move over a little bit while I film? I'll be surprised if Reggie doesn't come in. He's actually asleep in the window. I've got a window seat downstairs in the front and a window seat in my bedroom, and he loves to be sitting in there. But Gertrude likes the bedroom one because she likes to be nosy and look out into the garden and chitter at the little birds in the trees that are nearby. Don't you? Hey? Yeah, I do. I'm going to put just some paler in now, and I'm probably going to just do one knot, but I'm going to come up here as well because I feel like that's way too dark. Just sort of tone it down a bit. And then I'm going to put some beads in. I am going to put some beads in, and I might even... Okay. Is he coming? Can you hear him? I don't think he's coming. I think he's asleep. I might even just go over those. You can see I'm not happy, or you can hear I'm not happy with it. It's just, I don't know. I just don't like that purple. But we'll make it. We'll make it work. We'll make it work. I'm just going to come back up and do some in there. I must stop moaning about my work, or the fact that it's not quite as I imagined it. It's okay. It's okay not to be okay, isn't it? So they say. Okay, good. I think by the time I've covered it in some beads, it'll be fine, won't it? Look, it's already starting to break it down a bit. And I've got some greenery in there. This is not as... You probably can't see the difference in colour as much as I can. I'm just doing one wrap at the very bottom. Oh dear, where's my thread? Just doing one knot wrap around the needle for these bottom ones to make them tiny. Gertrude. Oh. Okay. If I don't respond with a cuddle, she tends to scratch me. Right, this is why all my stuff's always covered in cat hair. I don't think there's been a video where she's not come and introduced herself. I sometimes really do have to shoo her away. Or she'll lay down and do, you know, just... Gertrude, you're just going to have to move over slightly. Oh. I don't edit her out because she's part of what's happening here. You know, it's all part of it. The only time I have to edit her out is if she absolutely causes chaos. And you saw there she knocked the beads over. I have had it where I've learnt now that I put the lids on where she's sort of done a mad scramble and things have gone everywhere. Now then, I know. So I'm sort of just randomly adding single knots now, French knots. As I say, you could probably put pieces of fabric on and do this all in fabric. And that'll look lovely. But I felt like I needed a bit of embroidery because we've gone a bit fabric happy in the last 2 or 3. Ooh. Right. I thought you were disappearing then. So just tie a knot in that. See, I'm now, Gertrude, we're now covered, aren't we? Covered in your hair. Let's just it's absolutely everywhere. Here we go. Oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad now. I've sort of I'm not going to do those ones. I'll do those off camera, but what I will do is I'm going to add some green. I'm really into this olive green thread. I really like it. It's a new one for me. Have I got it already? I've got it already. I'll use this up and then and I'm just literally going to put some little stitches in. You probably won't be able to see, but I do try to sort of show you. But if I get any closer with the camera, it just starts to become, it can't focus on itself quick enough. And I'm literally just doing straight stitches. And I'll do those in like frondy kind of leafy kind of things. You can do a fly stitch or something if you want, but for this little tiny amount I'm not. But that's because I've only got like a little palette for my stitch. You just need to sort of think it's a suggestion of a leaf. Ouch, just stabbed myself. She's gone. She walks along the perimeter of the room, around all the shelves, all the windowsills, and up above I've got a big shelf. It used to have a mattress on it for when my daughter stayed with us, but now the mattress has gone and I just use it as a big storage shelf. So, but she's got a cushion, a nice comfy cushion at each end, so she can look down on me from one side and down on me from the other. I think there's actually pictures of her on the website doing just that. If you've not subscribed to the website, by the way, you get a freebie pattern on there with Reggie. I did a little slow stitch Reggie. So, and you get to hear all about our little trips on our blog and things like that. I'm just about to run out of this, and I'm going to not leave myself in a pickle and tie a knot now. Flamingos, by the way, are the scissors of the day. What did I do with that? I'm just popping up the alt. Can't thread it. Let's see if the little foxy that I got from the Stitch Fest is going to be any good. Oh yes, wonderful. If you didn't see my Stitch Festival video, or it's not come up yet, I don't know. This one, I have got these, but they're bigger. But this one's got a really tiny little hook, thinner thread, which I thought was super sweet. Anyway, here comes Reggie, because I can hear Harvey coming in. So, I'm probably going to have to pause, because there's going to be chaos, because Harvey's coming in, and Reggie will be woken up and woofing and being all gaddy. Oh, he's whispering. I'm just going to signal to him that I'm filming. Yeah. Okay. I'll be about 10 minutes. That's alright. I was saying I'm going to buy one of those on-air lights. So that the kids can not interrupt. Or the delivery Amazon man. He actually makes me giggle, because he I don't know how we got to chatting about it, and I said to him, oh, I'm just filming. And he'll say now, I try to knock really quietly. So it doesn't disturb me. But Harvey probably wants feeding. And I know some of you are going to go, what, do you have to feed him? But Harvey and I live alone, so I wouldn't want to be wasting time and effort cooking twice, or him cooking twice, or whatever. He can cook, by the way, and for those of you who are regulars, you know that he's high functioning autistic, so he has little foibles, and we all do, don't we? But obviously when they seem to be a little bit more I'm more aware of it, I suppose. And it's not that he can't cook and use the oven or anything like that, he can. He's just gets distracted very easily. So he'll come and sort of give me the heads up that he wants something, or wants to cook, or maybe he possibly wants to get himself ready and go for a walk with Reggie. But Reggie goes bananas, so he'll kind of wait till I've finished. Anyway, that's my explanation of what I know, and why I'm explaining is because there are lots of people out there that will sort of give me Oh, surely he shouldn't be cooking for him or whatever. He's old enough to cook for himself. He's 30 something. But, you know, I always feel the need to explain. And I know I shouldn't. But in the society that we're in, the internet is quite cruel. Or can be. So, I've done some greenery. I'll probably do some up here. I don't know. I don't want to go over the top. And I'm going to just going to pause us and see what Harvey wants. Maybe. And I'm going to come on back and put some beads in. So that might be a little bit later. Okay, oh, I've turned around and Gertrude's laying on the computer again. So that's where she is. So yeah, and that doesn't look too bad now, does it? The purple. I think I was overthinking it. Well, I was definitely overthinking it. That's me all over. I'll just show you, see if you can see it. Is it focusing? Somebody said tap it. Oh, don't know whether that works. So it's getting there. I'm going to pop some beads in. I'm going to finish these off first, and then I'll come back and I'll pop the beads in, and we can do that together. So I will pause you, go and do that, go and see what Harvey wants, and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. I've got a few beads on my little velvet pad, and it doesn't look too bad now. I'm still not too happy with the dark purple, but you know, I'm going along with it. So what I'm going to use is, I've got some beading thread. Now beading thread is like, it's like flat thread, so it's able to go through these little tiny beading needles. You can use anything. You can use machine thread. I like to use metallic threads as well, but this, I have to say, this beading thread is easier because it goes through the needle so easy. Because it's I can't explain it. It's flat thread. So I'm going to just put the odd one in, and I'm going to put in the lighter ones. To give myself, oh, I'm wrapped over. Put them up there. Make sure you give yourself enough thread so your beads sit nicely on your work. I'm not going to put too many in. Some of these are minute, but I am using a beading needle. If you've not got a beading needle, you've not heard of them, they are well worth purchasing, because they'll go through any tiny little bead. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and put beads on all of this. And as I always say, I won't make you sit and watch that. Although some of you are saying, please make us sit and watch it. I don't want the big ones. This is like a little mix of beads that I got in it all together. So, but yeah, some of you like me to. So I don't know. You can't win. But I always say, you know, you can always fast forward me. I'm just wondering now whether or not just put a few on. Do you know when you see something and you can't unsee it? It's the bunch of grapes, isn't it? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh dear. I've said it and now I can't unsee it. Where's that bead gone? But I don't want to put too many on because I don't want it to be too blingy. I'm just going to put a little stop stitch in there because I'm conscious that I'm carrying my thread across the back, and if that gets caught, your beads all fall off. So just be conscious of that if you're popping beads on. Seems a bit fluffy, this. I think it's not Gertrude's hair, it's just this brown, and I keep thinking it's Gertrude's hairs, but it isn't. Just gonna come across there, just put a little tiny bead in there. These are microscopic. I bet you can't even see them. They're not microscopic. I'm just I like this silvery grey thread because it sort of blends in with lots of. Just doing a couple of stitches to because I'm carrying across here. Yeah, it blends in really well with all sorts, so I tend to use it an awful lot. That or a metallic thread I'll use. So that said, I'm going to carry on, and then I will show you the picture as usual once it's finished, in the sort of the credit at the beginning, the beginning card or whatever it's called. I have no idea. Heather's the maestro on the editing and the YouTube. Just do a couple of knots. Okay, so I'm going to carry on and do that, and I hope you've enjoyed this little video of the Wisteria lane stroke grapes. And if you have, and I'm sure you have, do give us the thumbs up, and of course it'd be lovely if you subscribed, and if you don't want to miss anything, hit that little bell and that will notify you when I put a new video up. So bye bye everyone, and I will see you again soon.